I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Benitez?
Present.
Mr. Exiotis?
Here.
Mr. Burke? Here. Mr. Rufner?
Present.
Ms. Stemper?
Here.
Do we have any changes to tonight's agenda? Okay. All right, we'll move on to special presentations by staff members or invited consultants. No special presentation?
Oh, we have Blue Line on here.
You want me to introduce?
Yeah.
You want me to introduce them or let them
All
introduce?
right.
Quick, Glenn. Sorry about that. That's my fault, Glenn.
Good evening, council members. My name is Glenn Branham. I'm from Blue Line Solutions. I'm up here to just talk about the results of the speed study that we conducted, that I did a couple weeks ago, and what we offer as a company. So basically just going to impart some information on you. If you have any questions, feel free to jump in there. The PowerPoint's rather long. I'm not going to go through all of it. I know, it's quite involved. But the first document I want to talk about is the speed study. We did speed studies in several different locations. The chief has the results of all of them, but this one specifically deals with their school zone. Speed study was conducted from the 7th of May to the 13th of May. All our speed studies we do for a full 5 school days, so that way we get a real good kind of idea of what's going on. On page 2 is kind of where the rubber meets the road. The 5-day vehicle count was 17,601. That's over on Milton Boulevard. The speeding violation count, and when we say speeding violation, we're talking about 11 miles over the speed limit. We're not clocking anybody at 21 or any of that. And these devices, by the way, all they did is count cars and count speed. That's all they do. There's no cameras involved or anything else. The 5-day speeding tally was 1,309. So you could about imagine, well, just times it by 4, and that's how many you would have for a month. It's for speed studies I've done throughout the state. It's reasonably high. It's not significantly high, but it's certainly enough that there would be a problem. You know, that there could be a problem. On the 3rd page, you kind of get a pie chart of what's going on here. 784, we're doing 11 to 14 over. 441, we're doing 15 to 20 over. And you had 84 cars that were doing 21 mile an hour or over while flashers were going on. So that we're talking specifically during school times. So yeah, it's 50 mile an hour or something. So quite a bit. All right, that's all. Any questions about the speed study? You feel free to review it and ask me questions later or whatever. All right. Okay. Again, I'm from Blue Line Solutions. I'm a retired sergeant from Columbus Police Department, so I got a lot of experience in traffic management and everything else. I'm not going to go through the whole agenda. I just want to kind of breeze through this PowerPoint. The corporate overview for Blue Line is we have about 300 years of law enforcement experience. We're NHTSA and Government Highway Safety Association respected. We actually work quite a bit with them. All our technology is LiDAR. It's single beam LiDAR, basically laser, if you've heard of those. We don't use radar. And what we're talking about is automated speed enforcement, speed cameras, okay? We are the reduction in speed for out of any of these companies. We get anywhere between 85 to 90% reduction in speed. So it's and I like to tell everybody, it's sort of like the click it and ticket campaign. Back in the day when they were just counting everybody on, in the intersections who was wearing their seatbelt or who wasn't, they put on a bunch of public information education displays. Rates didn't really go up as far as people wearing their seatbelt. Now when they started enforcement, rates skyrocketed. Pretty much everybody uses their seatbelt now. And that's really the line that Blue Line takes. we're big on, if you have a problem, let's address it. If you don't have a problem, you don't need us. You clearly do. We are big on the public information education campaign, and then we back that up by enforcement, all right? All right, we're currently operating in 11 states, so we got quite a bit of, I don't know if market share is the right word, but quite a bit of presence all over the place. We're headquarters out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Again, we're LiDAR-based and mobile and fixed solution. We have mobile solutions too that are handheld Dragon LiDARs. We have some cities throughout Ohio that use them. Most of the cities that use our services are using automated speed enforcement, like Youngstown and Cambridge just started theirs, and we have contracts running with a bunch of others. So we're big on the ongoing training and system certification. The LiDARs that are placed in the speed camera boxes, they're certified from the factory, and they're independently certified by an independent certification company once a year to make sure they're accurate. Page, man, I can barely see, I'm sorry. Well, the program cost, if you can find that page, I can't see them. Sorry, didn't bring my readers, I'm getting
Page 6.
here.
What was the page?
6.
Program cost, yeah. The interesting part about our program is it is zero cost, period. You will never get a bill from Blue Line. We'll conduct the speed studies for free. If we sign a contract and go forward, we'll do the public information education campaign for free, and that could consist of flyers for the backpacks of the school, or you know, things to put in a water bill, or stuff for your website. There's also no maintenance costs. There's no setup costs. There's no nothing. We maintain everything. All right, and again, no public information education campaign costs. The next page is just talking about the methodology, and I already explained it's based on the click and ticket campaign. We know that we get great results. We have it in the data without a problem. The next two pages talking about a significant example in Hollywood, Florida. Feel free to look over this. We have a pretty big presence in Florida. We actually got up and running in Hollywood, Florida really quickly. And the interesting part about Hollywood, Florida was they had somewhere around 3,000, 4,000 violations, speeding violations per week in school zone. It went down significantly, like 600, just after the public information education campaign happened. The enforcement really hadn't even started yet, so we absolutely expect it to go lower than that. The next page is the public information education campaign. Again, we did the 5-day speed study. If we would go forward with a program at some point, there would be a 30-day warning period that would happen for everybody. Basically, where we just send out warnings, there wouldn't be any actionable citations, if you would. After that 30-day warning period, there would be an enforcement phase, and then we would also do speed studies after the enforcement phase to see how things were going. All right, the next page just kind of give you a rundown of some of the public information education campaign stuff we have done. All our cameras are NDAA certified, National Defense Authorization Act. We try to use components throughout from the United States, and we're also inlets and CGIS required and certified. So that's how we basically match the cars to the plates and everything else. 13 basically talks about how we set up the zones. Now let me kind of give you a visual picture here for a minute on how we would set up a speed zone. When you're coming into the speed zone, you would see a big sign that say this is a camera enforced school zone. All right, big huge sign. After that, you would see what's called a radar feedback sign. We've all seen them. They have the big digital display of your actual speed, and then a placard underneath for the speed you're supposed to be going. After that sign, you would pass the flashers for the actual school, which you already have installed. Some cities I've done speed studies that they didn't have them. And then and only then would you pass one of our speed cameras to possibly get a citation or not. So basically, you're getting 3 warnings to slow down in a school zone. And like I tell people all the time, if you're speeding in a school zone, you deserve a ticket. That's all there's to it. We're talking about kids here. It's unbelievably dangerous. Program specifics, it kind of gives you a pricing schedule. The program specifics for this program would be basically we would charge $25 per citation. Most citations are $100. So the village would get $75 of those citations. And that would come once a month, all right? The cost for the radar P-back sign is zero, installation cost is zero, so all the signage needing is zero, and a public information and education campaign is absolutely zero. If some of y'all have read about these programs in Ohio, you may think they're illegal. They are absolutely not, 100% not. Back in 2007, when the state outlawed these programs totally, the city of Dayton sued the state. The Supreme Court basically said, what you're doing, state, is unconstitutional. You can't infringe on the home rule doctrine or the home rule doctrine of villages and cities. They can pass these ordinances and do these programs if you want. So if you've been watching the news, they just outlawed it for townships and counties, but they will never outlaw it for cities and villages because there's a home rule situation. The Supreme Court's already ruled on it. It's absolutely 100% legal. And that is pretty much it. I wanted to make it brief, but are there any questions? Yes.
It says $25 per event. Is that per paid event or is it just events?
Per actionable citation.
And who collects on those?
We do. So the way this would work, so let's say if I go through the speed zone and I'm speeding, I would, the photo of the back of my car plus the data would get sent to the police department. Police department will review all the citations prior 24 hours later. And we do that basically for snow days and stuff like that because we don't want to issue a citation when they shouldn't be issued. The chief or his designee would go ahead and approve or disapprove whatever citations are good. At that point, the data will get transmitted back to us, and then we will mail out the citation. All right, these are civil forfeiture citations. Like I said, most of them are $100. And then if you don't want to contest it, you want to just pay it, you send it to us. We send y'all 75 of it. We take 25 of the processing. If you do want to take it to court, not a problem at all. You would just notify us on the back of the citation. That's what you want to do. Our court liaison would work with your police department to make sure it gets on the docket and hearings to be seen, to be heard. We also have the ability to reassign liability if you'd like to do that. Let's say I got the ticket, but it was my brother driving a car. I can put right on the back of my notice, hey, Joe Schmo was driving my car and this is his address, issue the ticket to him. And it's an affidavit type thing, and we would then reissue the citation. Does that answer your question, sir?
Sure. And the last question, just to be clear, this has to be staffed by a police officer, correct?
No, it does
So
not.
it's all just automated?
No. So if you look, and actually I can send you the link to the Supreme Court. That's specifically what they ruled on because the state said you have to have an officer witness these violations. After that court case, the Supreme Court said absolutely not. Y'all have the ability to pass laws just like any other city or village. You would basically amend the ORC to make it comply, and you'd be good to go. So no, you absolutely do not. ORC absolutely says that as on its face, but it's just for the state. It's not for villages or cities.
We have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. We'll have a cushion, a couple miles an hour.
It'd be 11. We usually, so 20 mile an hour in the school zones, we usually wouldn't issue a citation till 31. That's what we do. Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah, well, the school zone, I almost think that should be a zero tolerance. That if it's 20 miles an hour, I've always went 20 mile an hour in a school zone. Now, when I get out the turnpike or, on 76 or something like that, then I don't put my foot into it. But going to the school zone, I don't know if there should be a cushion with that or not.
We can absolutely go lower. We just, we try to kind of do a best practices and around the state. We don't want to, Mr. Hanson, I actually agree with the zero tolerance, honestly, I do, but I don't think that would be received really well with the basic motoring public, so that's my opinion only.
Yeah, I'm good in town, but like I said, the school zones, that's the school zone.
I agree. I mean, we're talking 1,300 violations a week. So that's a lot of opportunities for a child to get hit. That's a whole lot. Matter of fact, that's how we got the contract in Cambridge. I actually dropped a flyer off to them a day after a kid got hit in the school zone. And they actually called me back immediately, and we started meeting about it and signed a contract and went forward. So I agree with you, sir, but yeah. Sir, yes, sir.
Just a quick question. This is thrown around a lot in the community. Well, what if I don't pay? it's a civil penalty, I don't have to pay it. What is the truth behind that or the misleading information behind that?
Yep.
How can that affect you as the driver if you choose to say, I'm not doing it?
Yeah, excellent question. There is not a lot of teeth in Ohio law. We can attempt to go to collections with it. At the end of the day, if they totally refuse, it is what it is. We can try, but what we find is the vast majority pay it. I know I got 2 in Iowa when I was working out there for another company, and it was the law was actually the same as it was in Ohio. I just paid them. So
Now,
correct.
follow-on question to that, your $25 per citable offense, is that whether it's collected or not?
It is. It is.
So if I get flagged for speeding, ultimately, you're gonna get your $25. If I say I'm not paying it, you get nothing, the city gets nothing.
Yes, yeah. So, and like I said, the vast majority are paid, so we're really talking about a 2 or 3% out of the multiple citations you would get. But you could sort of do the figures real quick. If you're talking 1,300 violations a week, you times that by 52, or actually 40 is kind of better for school zones, and then reduce it by 85 or 90. It's still pretty significant, the revenue that would be collected.
Right.
So, and you would get a revenue check from us every 15th of the month. Yes, sir.
So are these mobile? Can you move it? Like, let's say you keep it in the school zone during the school and you want to put it out there on 534?
Sir, these are actually fixed sites, but we do have mobile trailers that can be purchased or be funded through the program. But they're actual fixed sites. And we do that mainly because, and the chief can tell you, when you're talking about LiDAR, it has to be accurate. Getting up and moving a site or moving a trailer can be done, but it also has to be done correctly. So we fix these sites and make sure they're certified and correct all the time. If they go, we get this question a lot, what happens if they go down? Don't worry about it, just give us a call, we'll fix it. Every now and again a car will hit one or something, and I know y'all get plenty of snow up here, a lot more than I do in Columbus. So same situation, we would hook it to electric so they're running properly all the time.
He stole my question, but, so would we just be running, like, would this just be running during the time that it was 20 miles an hour? Or would it be adjusted to collect 25 miles an hour when the school?
Ma'am, that would be up to the council.
Okay.
We will do it either way. The city of Youngstown run them all the time. And we have, I don't know how many zones up there, 60-something zones. It's really up to what the council wants to do and the mayor and everyone else, so.
My reason for answering, or asking that is, school's in the 9 months, but 12 months out of the year, we've got kids going in and out of there for sports and
Yeah.
clubs and different things. It's not just,
Right. And I really wasn't gonna address the other speed studies. You can look at what we did. What we did discover is y'all have some significant speeding areas in the city. Or is it a village or city? I'm sorry. No,
Village.
it depends.
Okay. There's quite a few areas, so we could actually do this in other areas. There's a little more ins and outs with that involving local government funds, and that's a whole nother subject. But yeah, it's totally up to you. If you want to run it during non-school hours, you can, because according to the state, a school zone is a school zone, whether it's flashing 25 or 35 mile per hour when the schools aren't, or where the kids aren't present. So you could run those without a problem at all the time, if you'd like. Yes, ma'am.
What's the percentage of people that pay?
It's about 80 to 90%. We don't have a national company average, but it's about that from what I have seen and from what I understand. Pretty decent, honestly.
I do have a question for you real quick. I forgot to ask you, Glenn. What's the turnaround once the citations, you receive them, that they go out to the violator?
So when the camera collects the data on violations, 24 hours later, it'll hit your queue. As soon as you get those approved, we'll start processing. It's usually a couple-day process, and then the mailing. So you're talking a week and a half. It's actually pretty quick.
Okay.
It's not we really stay on top of these things. We don't let them linger. We have about 40 people that work in the processing center. That's all they do is process these citations. And again, we're NLETS certified, and for those of you that may or may not know, that's basically the national database for motor vehicles and stuff. So.
Can I ask, I know we had a different company come in and present to us, and my understanding was that you get the ticket, the police department clears it, and then there was also a fee through the court.
So
Have that as
all,
well? Or is that-
right, that doesn't apply on school zones. The state legislature have said it multiple times that judges cannot assess court fines to villages or cities through school zones. So they have to be passed on to the violator. That's what it says in the code. Now, the other citations are different, of course, but yeah.
Or if we put something like this somewhere else, then we have that court cost to consider.
That's a whole nother kind of conversation, because as your law director might know, they'll get local government funds every year. I don't know how much they are.
Had that.
Those local government funds can be reduced one for one, but you get everything above and beyond. So it can get a little messy, but it still works, and it's still very, very worth it. You're still going to get the real good deductions, and I hate to say it, you're going to make a lot of money out of it, most likely, especially with what's going on. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Am I misremembering that do the monies have to remain attached to safety in the school zones or
Yeah, so there is a clause in there that says basically the funds have to be used for school zone safety or school safety. We have had several cities ask the auditor and everyone else what that means, and they said, whatever you want to mean, literally. We have had, I don't know how many cities, and I know other companies have had that too. But the issue is, if you're doing anything for public safety, you're good. What I tell everybody is, if you're putting in a park on the other side of town that has nothing to do with the school zone, I would say that's not school safety, if you understand what I'm saying. So, but yeah. Yes, sir.
Now, does that only apply to cameras within the school zone? Or let's say we have cameras set up out on Route 5. Is that money still allocated or earmarked, guided towards?
So, this can be a difficult discussion. Cameras outside of school zones, what actually happens? Let's say, for instance, y'all get $500,000 a year from local government funds. Court fines can be assessed to the citations by the court, and $1 for $1 will be deducted from your local government funds. So if you make $1 million from the program, you still get $1 million from the program, but you're not going to get the $500,000 extra local government funds.
Ours is about 65,000.
What's that?
Ours is about 65.
Okay, yeah, you would, with those speed studies, I don't know if you've done any calculations, but I think it would be significant. 65,000 bucks would probably be the first month.
I just wanted to put that into perspective for anybody listening of what we would potentially have to give up or surrender from the state for taking on a program of this nature. And it roughly, I believe it's $65,000, $65,000
Yeah.
a year.
You're right. Basically, it's 1 for 1. It's if I give you $1, you take $1
Right.
away. You still have $1.
Right.
So, yeah. But that's only up to the amount of local government funds, and then everything above and beyond is for your use.
Just because we've been talking about it, but this is definitely centered around the school zone. The last presenter talked about school zone, but also talked about cameras outside of the school zone.
Right.
Do those fees that you're charging change, like the $25 per offense?
No, they stay. That'd be the fixed fee in the contract.
Okay.
So, yeah.
The school zone fees, would that be able to pay for a school resource officer?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Cruisers, vests, fire trucks, training. I mean, there's 100 sidewalks, you name it, in that area. Anything that basically you can say, hey, we're doing this for school safety, which is a lot, you're fine. You're fine. And again, I think that's only up to, there's something in the code, and I've had your law director might be able to clarify this for me. I've read it a couple of times, and I don't know that I totally understand the way the calculations work. But it's also, you only have to spend X for school safety, and the rest of it you can use as you wish. And you would really need to dig into the code. I've read it a couple of times, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I still understand it. But it's fairly, it's doable though, definitely. Any more
Anything
questions?
else?
Thank you much for your
Thank
time.
you very much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
say, the chief has my cell phone, email. Any questions you have, feel free to call me, text me, email me. I'd be happy to, and I can do reply to all if you want the other council members to know my answer. I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. I'll be in touch. Thank you.
Chief, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I reached out to him through a friend of mine, Jason Miner, who's sitting in the front row. He sent an email to Glenn, or he actually called him when he was in my office. And Glenn, I spoke to him, and he's been on top of everything. I told him that we wanted to address the school zones because I received a lot of complaints from people. You know, they thought that people were traveling unsafe. So he came up, he traveled 4 hours to come up here. He conducted a speed study for an entire week. I gave him the school zone times that he had. That's what you'll see in the data that you received on my report. And then I asked him why he was here, if he could do a couple other locations for us to see down the road if they would have potential. So he also put one on the south end of Milton Boulevard going out of the city, one on Warren Road, 2 on Route 5, and 1 on Ridge Road. And you'll see it in the color packet that I gave you. The numbers are significant. He said that someday down the road, like I said, my main interest right now is the school zone. And if we determine to go, further, they could put them upstate. We don't have to have an officer there, but we can make it stationary. He said it would be substantial. Like, we have the ability to make well over $1 million with, the speed, but that's not here or there for right now. That's on down the road. I figure we would all talk about that at a later time. But everything I need, I text him, I call him, he answers right away, gets right back to me. So I think the day he was here, he was heading down to the place he was talking about with that child that just got hit, because the chief called him and said, hey, bring the contract, city council wants to sign it right now. And he went down and they signed it. So obviously we won't have it up and running by the school year, because I think school's out next week, I think, is it? So,
Friday.
but we can have everything in place. It runs off solar, so we won't need to use any electricity from the city, from our stuff. But I think 75% for us out of fines is a good amount of money instead of 68%, and there's no upfront cost.
There's no upfront and there's no ongoing other than
Correct.
that $25 fee.
Correct.
When money's collected.
Right. It's like $25 per ticket, yeah. That's just his set for $100 for school zone. I mean, we can make it $150. That's what my numbers, I was adding up as $150 per site for a school zone. You know what I mean? Technically, sometimes they're almost doubled, I do believe. Is that what you do? Yeah, do you remember? A school zone, do you go a little bit higher than the regular thing because of the school zone?
Well, I think he does it a little differently. You mean in terms of what?
As far as the fine, instead of $100, you can make it like $150
Oh,
for a
sure,
school, right?
sure,
Okay, yeah.
sure.
So it'd be whatever everyone decided, Mr. Lingham, whatever, you would decide. So, is that it? But,
Thank you, Chief.
thank you.
I will move on to public comments
Oh, wait.
on agenda items.
Can I get I want to give you my report, I'm sorry.
I'm
That
sorry.
was just part, I apologize. I just wanted to give you a synopsis of what I've done since the last council meeting, real quick, please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, it's no problem.
Thank you. I just want to let everyone know that I'm continuing to make sure the police department will be in compliant with all state and federal guidelines once our department is operational and up and running again. I met with an agent from BCI, a representative of the Ohio Attorney General's office. The agent is a quality assurance specialist for OLEG, which is Ohio Law Enforcement Gateway. As I stated prior, OLEG is an instrumental tool for law enforcement. All paperwork submitted was approved. The department is in compliance with the state's policy and procedure. That's a very vital tool for us to use conducting investigations, and we can enter all of our calls, all of our anything that's could be an assault, homicide, rape. That goes into the state database, and anybody else may have a suspect or something like that. We can all connect, and then we also submit our like if we have a rape kit or whatever, that will come back to us, to our PD. And I'm gonna have it set up so it goes to the prosecutor, so he doesn't have to say, hey, where's the results from a test that we send into BCI. I'll also talk to you about that. Okay, and then obviously I'll skip over the Blue Line Solutions, since I just said that. And then on Sunday, I attended the graduation of 2025 class of Newton Falls. That was pretty impressive. Mr. Axiotis, your son, nice job. And then on Thursday, I attended the Human Trafficking Awareness event sponsored by the American Association of University of Women of Warren. The event was held at St. Paul Lutheran Church located in Warren. The 2-hour event was very informative with guest speakers consisting of judges, Ohio Representative Nick Santucci, the directors of the Harriet Tubman movement. They help victims of human trafficking or domestic violence, putting them in a safe place or helping them with food, clothing, and also getting them any kind of help that they would need. Also, the main speaker was an actual victim of human trafficking. The story was not only sad, but amazing. What a positive power attitude she had. I will not use her name. She was a true hero, not only to tell her story, but how she now helps victims of human trafficking. And one of the reasons I attended it is because I believe that Newton Falls is a major hub with Route 5 and 534 and quick access to the Ohio Turnpike. And then I submitted a document along with today. Dave Garvey, who's been here 33 years, works part-time. I have made him an administrative sergeant at this point in time. It'll cost, it's no more money or anything like that. It's gonna stay at the same amount. That's it. If I'm absent or on vacation or sick or something like that, you know, that's the only time that Sergeant Garvey would, you know, be in charge. Sergeant Garvey placed a free ad on Indeed. The next day, for part-time officers, the next day we received 4 applicants, and then a few after that. So we've had 6 potential candidates submit their resumes. I conducted an interview last Friday. We had 4 scheduled on Monday. One gentleman backed out because he said it was the drive was too far for him. The commute was too long for him to come here from Amherst. Tomorrow I have an interview with another veteran officer who's looking for part-time. So out of the 5 potential applicants, 3 have road experience, 2 do not. One was a corrections officer for Stark County Jail, and one just passed his test today, so he called to tell me that, which I thought that was great. Today I also attended the Mahoney Valley Law Enforcement Association meeting. The members included police chiefs, EMA, Mahoney County prosecutor, a representative from the Ohio Attorney General's office, a regional liaison for Northeast of the Criminal Justice Service. He's a representative going to assist us with applying for grants that may help our department. We had another maintenance service completed at Zip Lube on car 4. The maintenance completed were new front and rear rotors, brakes, 4 new tires, and a serpentine belt. Once again, I want to thank Advance Auto. They donated the front and rear rotors, not charging, so that saved us a significant amount of money. And the owner, John of Zip Lube, also gave us a huge discount on labor. So we're well under, he's probably saved us $1,000 so far in parts and labor. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll have public comments on agenda items, 3 minutes.
Julie Lemon, 609 Ridge Road. I have a lot to say, so I'm going to talk fast. I would like to address council tonight with regard to the special presentation that was just had. I urge council to logically think about what has been presented. I want you to think about it logically. Because does it solve financial problems? Probably. Would it fund a police department? Yes, it would. Is it morally or ethically right? Not at all. Let me explain. The company that you just had this presentation from is under 2. Count it 2. Class action lawsuits. You know what it involves on one of them in Georgia? Georgia and Ohio. Girard, Ohio is the other defendant in that class action lawsuit with them. The one in Georgia was because he just stood here and said, school zone. They were enforcing and writing tickets for people supposedly speeding in a school zone when the school lights were not on. Those lights went off at 8 o'clock. That ticket was issued at 9:26 a.m. So everything that just came out of his mouth, I call banana oil on. This is not what we need. You guys have all stood up here and said transparency. Transparency. There's no guarantee that people are going to pay. It's civil, not criminal. I can't stand behind that. If I got one, and I'm sorry, I wouldn't pay it. Put me in collections because it wouldn't happen. Not when we can hire, we're talking about bringing back a police department and we have officers that can write us tickets. They had no problem before. Why would it be a problem now? Many lawmakers in Ohio and other states like Georgia are seeing speed cameras for what they are. Cash grabbing, it's money grabbing. It's what it is. Trojan horses. $112 million have been collected since 2019 in school zones alone, just in Georgia. However, a lot of those citations have been overturned. And Blue Line Solutions, it was their contract. Look up Tallulah, Georgia, in the lawsuit. Look at the contract. So let me ask this question. Where are we going to be getting the money for future litigation? Because certainly that seems to be the outcome where speed cameras and their tickets go. I'm 1,000% for our police department. Please don't get me wrong. I am. I'm 1,000% for it. Even Lordstown was approached last year, and they did not bite that proverbial apple. They stayed away from it. I urge council, be like Lordstown, not Girard. They're part of the class action disputes. I've researched a lot of information in the last few days, and the amount of information that was at my fingertips was overwhelming. How can any of you sit up there and think that this is a viable or even plausible solution to fund our police department? I have one last remark I want to make on this. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I have an attitude, but that gentleman just ticked me off. It's not right.
Mayor, time.
To funding our police department, look, I get it. Finances suck here. I get it. I fully get it. I support the police, and I know it's going to take the village. I've looked at our finances. I've looked at every report that's posted on the city's website. It's going to take the village. So give the village a choice. If we don't have the funds right now for our police department, then it's your guys' job and it's Jamie's job to give us the facts. Levy or a tax increase. We haven't had one since 1966. This Blue Line speed camera thing is not the solution. Give us the facts and let us vote. That's why that levy failed the last time. We were not given the facts. Give us the facts. And if it fails, this town would have no one to blame but themselves for us not being able to fund our police department. We can all do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Julie. Anybody else?
John Baryak, 660 North Canal, Newton Falls, Ohio. Having served on city council for 9.5 years under 3 different police chiefs, I've served on police and public safety committee for a number of years. And I want to bring up what we're talking about. Before a decision is made, a true apples to apples comparison should be made between the sheriff's office and the former Newton Falls Police Department. Truth be told, the Newton Falls Police Department was never properly funded. We ran on a duct tape and rubber band budget. We always referred to as a taxi cab police. You call, we send a car. That was about the extent of it. Some crimes went without investigation simply because we didn't have the resources to invest, whether it was manpower and overtime or lack of equipment and supply. To properly run a village police department, you would need it in the neighborhood of $1 million to $1.5 million. Perhaps more, depending on the level of service the citizens expect. The more they want, the more the money it will cost. Now let's compare what you're getting from the sheriff's office for a fraction of the cost and what you would be getting with a village police department. The sheriff's office has properly trained and properly supervised officers that are held to a standard. In addition, they offer a full-time drug team tactical response team, 3 full-time detectives, a dive team, a horse unit, and search drones. To handle an incident, 3 full-time officers, canine officers, 3 full-time canine officers, all of which are retrained regularly. Newton Falls would maybe be staffed by full-time officers if the funding is adequate. We always have been supplemented by part-time who were never trained to the same level. Newton Falls was almost always at the state minimum level of training, generally done in line with the exception of firearms that occurred once a year. We've never had a full-time properly trained detective. The village might have 1, maybe two officers per shift. If adequate funding is provided, every attempt to have a canine officer was a failure. We failed 3 times on the dog. The biggest issue being of law enforcement nationwide is finding good qualified candidates to hire. In addition, there is currently a movement in Ohio to eliminate qualified immunity for all public officials, which translates into more lawsuits and higher insurance rates. Currently, all of our liability is on the sheriff's office. The money is being wasted on the chief of a non-existent department. My honest opinion would be to increase what was paid for to the sheriff's office, the number of deputies on duty in the village. You can have a murder or kidnapping and call for the...
Your time's running out.
Can I please finish this, sir?
Finish it up.
I've only got 1 or 2. They will come for help, but at the end of the day, the investigation is still Newton Falls to follow up on and to get a conviction. Regionalization from the Trumbull County Sheriffs by using them is a much better option for being good stewards of the taxpayers' money. Chief Fixer was to give a report on what it was needed to bring back the police department. And all the months he worked, all we heard was police cameras and a levy. What has changed? Where's our money coming from? Why change something that's working? We should make it better. Mutual aid may not work in an emergency situation.
We need to wrap
That's
this
it.
up, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, I'm done. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else have any public comments here tonight? All right, we'll move on into reports. Mayor has nothing to report tonight. Council, Mr. Axiotis?
I attended the Treasury Investment Board meeting last week, which there's a summary from Jamie on. There's also, we're working on identifying and clarifying some of the fiduciary duties of the various people involved with the Treasury Investment Board. There's been some emails back and forth, and we're just trying to iron out some details, which ultimately I think will end up going to the voters for charter changes possibly and/or ordinances to kind of just align ourselves a little better due to the vagueness of the charter on the TIB.
Ms. Pat? Nothing. Ms. Julie?
We had a fire board meeting last night. We have a great board, lots of different mentalities, or I'm not sure what I want to say, but we have lots of good conversations, and I really see the fire district to continue moving forward in a positive way. A new chief's vehicle has been purchased, and it's in the process of getting the lights and the decals and stuff put on. We got to see our new ATV that we got by grant money. It's all been decaled and lighted up, and it's pretty fancy. It's going out to get the front of it wrapped, so we should be able to see that around with the summer events and different things. We've also approved to move forward with a comprehensive study for a location analysis. The land was given to us with the time frame from Mr. Cadle, and we need to know before we start looking at finding funds, spending funds, that we are putting ourselves in a good location and making good choices with the money that we're going to need to be able to spend. Other than that, we have our next meeting is June 17th at 6 o'clock.
Thank you. Mr. Burke, do you have anything, sir?
Through the chair, I have nothing to report. Nothing.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes, real quick, I attended the Newton Falls Area Chamber of Commerce meeting last night. There's a few things that they wanted me to pass along. The Commerce Association is actually moving out of their current location, which is right up on Broad Street. So any official correspondence to them needs to go to Post Office Box 92 here in Newton Falls. Also wanted me to let everybody know that June 3rd is their next meeting. Since they are not having a physical building anymore, they are going to look at different businesses to take the meeting around to, kind of like they did years ago. So June 3rd at 8 a.m. at McDonald's, they will be holding their next meeting. And June 6th is the first concert in the park of this year from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And just put a plug out there for it. They have announced their Autumn in the Falls event of September 20th. And they've made sure to ensure that it does not conflict with the other events in the community. So should have a much better turnout. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Rufner. Mr. Lemon, do you have anything for us tonight?
No, sir, nothing tonight, thank you.
Miss Jamie?
Sure, just a couple of things. I have the Treasury Investment Board's quarterly update. So this time I decided to do a little bit differently. I thought that Meter Investments gave the Treasury Investment Board a nice presentation this round, and I thought it would be nice to share with council. So what you have in your packet, I've enclosed the highlights from their investment presentation. And as it states, as of April 30th, the city has invested roughly $8.8 million. And this is the highest amount of investments that the city has made when compared to the last couple of years. As noted in this meeting, though, by Meter, April 30th was roughly a difficult time to report on investments for the city because it's after that point that the major debt issues are then paid. So it will appear much higher than, say, January. So the January balance that's presented is considered closer to a normal average for the city. So for some additional support, I've included the bank in the investment statements from April 30th. So as council can see, this investment update from Meter is fully supported by our bank balances so that all monies are accounted for. And finally, just based on some history that I've seen here, I just want to make it clear, the Treasury Investment Board is not a city fund. The Treasury Investment Board represents all of the monies that the city has to invest, and it's every fund for the city, including those that are restricted. So this is not general fund monies. This is all funds, the general fund, street fund, utility funds, restricted funds. It's not available for the general operations of the city. It is mostly restricted revenues for utility funds that have reserve balance requirements. So, and as Brian had stated, the Treasury Investment Board is currently working on modifying our investment policies, ordinances, and possibly a charter modification. And that does have to clearly define what my role is here, as well as the Treasury Investment Board's role. And anyone that gets involved in that needs to be clearly defined. So then, and lastly, I have an update in council's packet for income taxes. As you can see from this report from Rita, the income taxes that were collected during 2024, they will show you how much money Rita charges for the collections. So in 2024, for every dollar or every $100 that was collected, Rita charged $2.31. So Rita collected for the city $1,051,733. And of that, they charged the city $24,318, or 2.31%. That's a significant savings for the city compared to what it would cost for us to have an internal income tax department. And that's all I have for you tonight.
All right, we'll move on to the approval of previous minutes, and that was the special meeting.
Mayor Hanson, I'm sorry. Can I just do a couple follow-ups,
Yeah,
please, real quick, sir,
absolutely. Yes,
please?
you can.
I also want to reiterate that just because there's going to be a school zone camera does not mean that the police department is not going to be actively out there being proactive and conducting traffic stops and looking for violators, okay? A municipal waiver for a school zone violation now is $210. So he was just using $100 as an example. for council, okay? But we're still gonna be out there actively, doing our job in trying to curb what's going on in town. People are driving reckless and everything. So we can't be everywhere at once. Do we need help? Yes, we do. We're being honest about it. It's just for the school zone. That's it. Like I said, I'm the one who asked for the other speed studies. That can be on down the road, whatever we decide, whatever council decides, that's up to you. I'm just saying that we can't be everywhere at once. We do take our job very seriously. I know I do. I'm offended that people think that part-time officers are not as well as apt as full-time, because they are. They go through the exact same training that we go through. Every officer is assigned 24 hours a month, 24 hours of training through the state of Ohio. Every officer has to do it. Troopers, everyone, sheriff. Okay, sheriff's done a good job, but we do a good job too. All right, and I get offended when people say that, they don't think they're not gonna get their bang for their buck, because they are gonna get their bang for their buck. All right, so we're here too. So if you make a mistake, we're gonna arrest you. So no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're here to do a job. I'm here trying to get it back up and running. I work on it every day. I'm in contact with everybody every day. Is it hard? Yeah, it's hard, but I have good help from the finance director. I talk to her every day to make sure what we're doing, that we're within our budget, not exceeding our budget, so the residents will be happy to have us back. And, I'm proud to be here. And I know some of the guys that are coming back and the new hires are happy to be here. Some of the guys researched the city before they even came here, and they're pretty excited. So I'm excited too. So I'm just here. If anybody has any questions, they can come and see me. But you know what? You're gonna get your investigation. You have something happen, you're gonna get a full investigation. I don't know what this stuff has fallen apart from before. That's not how I operate. That's not, we're not gonna allow it to operate anymore. So everything will be investigated, and it will go as far as it can. And if it results in someone being arrested or going to grand jury, we'll consult with the law, with the prosecutor. We'll go from there. Okay, but that's all. It's just, everybody's trying to knock us down before we even start. I'm offended by it, to tell you the truth. I love this city. That's why I told you that in my interview. That's why I'm here. So, give us a chance. Sorry for babbling.
I will move on to approval of previous minutes. And that would be the special meeting minutes for April 28th, 2025, and regular meeting minutes, May 7th, 2025. And I'd like to ask to approve both of those together, to move things along.
I'll make the motion to approve both sets of minutes.
I'll second it.
Mr. Axiotis, Ms. Benitez? Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
And Ms. Stemper?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
We'll move on to public hearings. Ordinance 2025-20. This is an ordinance repealing ordinance 2021-22, which required the registration of contractors operating within the city of Newton Falls.
Can I speak on that?
Public comments.
Public comments.
Julie Lemon, 699 Ridge Road. When this first actually came back in 2021, I supported it because I believe in accountability. You guys know that by now. I love accountability. I think it's a great thing. Was it not implemented? Did it never gain the amount of money that people thought it would get? Did people just not register? Why is it going to be repealed? Because if it's not working and it's just an additional headache, I can understand repealing it. If people are just not following what it needs to be done, then find a different solution. That's all I ask.
John Baryak, 660 North Canal. Because of the zoning not being given enough hours, people were sneaking in here at night, sneaking in here on the weekends, and with the hours that we even tried to hire another guy to help out on the weekends. But if it's not gonna be run right, as a matter of fact, I used a registered contractor, and Mr. Axiotis said I didn't until he had to come up and check it out, but he made me look bad. when I used the diamond doors. So all being said, if we can't do it right and we were getting let the people will have to bear the burden. In other words, if something goes wrong, they run off with $3,000 or $4,000, whatever there's gonna happen to the people. But I do believe if the zoning would be up the hours and get somebody in here, that it would be feasible and protect the people. Thank you.
All right, next we have ordinance 2025-21. It's an ordinance authorizing the interim city manager to enter into an agreement with Pollard Land Services Incorporated for repairs to a stormwater wastewater CSO outlet. Next is ordinance 2025-22. It's an ordinance rezoning certain properties from R1 residential to RM residential multifamily, affirming the Planning Commission's recommendation to rezone these properties. Next is ordinance 2025-23. It's an ordinance authorizing certain amendments to the appropriations for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and authorizing the finance director to amend and file a certificate of resources with the county auditor. Next, we have ordinance 2025-24. It's an ordinance amending ordinance 2017-01, establishing a fee schedule for service of the city of service of the village of Newton Falls. Next is ordinance 2025-25. This is an ordinance amending section 153.03 of the Administrative Code pertaining to credit hours for full-time department heads and superintendents who are salaried employees. Next is ordinance 2025-26. This is an ordinance establishing the rate of pay for utility superintendent and department head employee positions of the city of Newton Falls. Item 10 is unfinished business, which is ordinance 2025-20. This is an ordinance repealing ordinance 2021-22, which required the registration of contractors operating within the city of Newton Falls.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Axiotis and Mr. Rufner.
Please.
So this ordinance, as someone spoke on, originally expired at the end of 2023, I believe. It was supposed to be revisited by us. Well, for whatever reason, it was not. This went back to the P&Z committee to review and look at and see if they wanted to keep it, if they recommend, the recommendation from them would be to keep that. Their recommendation was to not renew it and to remove it. Everyone has their opinions about it and various ways about going about it. My personal opinion is that it cost every citizen here who wanted to hire a contractor an extra $100, because that was the fee that was paid by the contractor to be on the list. They're going to pass that along to every citizen. What did it do? Not much. I mean, if the contractor came along and ripped people off, was the city going to get involved? Not really. So I couldn't continue, in good conscience, continue to have this on the books and costing people money. I would suggest to the citizens, if this obviously is repealed, that they just got to do their due diligence. There's plenty of websites out there that give you ratings for contractors that arguably will be cheaper than this ordinance on the books as it is. Thank you.
Pat? Anybody else? Ms. Ripner, please.
I agree with Mr. Axiotis on this. The ordinance as it was written really had no teeth in the end anyways. A contractor was required to register with the city of Newton Falls. Okay, that's costing extra money. That gets passed on to the resident who's getting said work being done. Now you've got a select pool of contractors that can only operate within the city. So now your prices go up. You know, it's an ever compounding issue. And in the end, as Mr. Axiotis said, what if they rip somebody off? We're not getting involved. We're not suing them. The residents need to be cognizant of their decisions. As he said, do your homework, research your contractors. You know, you can't rely on the city to protect you in this situation. It's your work, your property, your money, your investment. No ordinance we put up here is going to protect you for that. And if anything, it's going to compound your issue in the end when it comes to how's it getting paid for, how's it getting passed along. So, again, there was no teeth to it. It had intent, but there's nothing to back it up. So, that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Ripner.
Ms. Stimpert,
Yes.
Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis,
Yes.
Ms. Benitez.
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Next, we have ordinance 2025-21. It's an ordinance authorizing the interim city manager to enter into an agreement with Pollard Land Services Incorporated for repairs to a stormwater wastewater CSO outlet.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Axiotis and Mr. Rufner.
Any discussion?
Ms. Benitez,
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert.
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, next is ordinance 2025-22. It's an ordinance rezoning certain properties from R1 residential to RM residential multifamily, affirming the Planning Commission's recommendations to rezone these properties.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Axiotis and Ms. Benitez.
Please, Brian.
I just want to say that the reason this is on here is due to the fact that there was a comprehensive rezoning of properties in the city quite a few years ago. And unfortunately, some of these might have been changed from what was residential multifamily to R1. And this is just putting them back to what they were originally, which was residential multifamily, because the use case supports it.
Anybody else?
Mr. Axiotis,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Ms. Benitez,
Yes.
Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert.
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Next comes ordinance 2025-23. This is an ordinance authorizing certain amendments to the appropriations for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and authorizing the finance director to amend and file a certificate of resources with the county auditor.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Ms. Stimpert and Ms. Benitez. Ms. Benitez,
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis,
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
and Mr. Rufner.
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Now comes ordinance 2025-24. This is an ordinance amending ordinance 2017 on establishing a fee schedule for servicing for services of the Village of Newton Falls.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Rufner and Mr. Burke?
Please.
Since I was asked on this, I just want to clarify, this is not changing residential rates at the house for your water taps, or, I'm sorry, for your water usage. This is for the tap-in fees. This hasn't been addressed since 2017, and we've gotten to the point where man-hour and materials invested for a tap exceed what we're bringing back in. So we're working in a deficit in some of these utilities. This aligns that and removes that deficit within the operation, so.
Thank you, Mr. Burke.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimper?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, here we have ordinance 2025-25. It's an ordinance amending section 153.03 of the Administrative Code pertaining to credit hours for full-time department heads and superintendents who are salaried employees.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Exiotis and Ms. Benitez?
Any discussion?
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimper?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, here we have ordinance 2025-26. It's an ordinance establishing the rate of pay for utility superintendent and department head employee positions of the city of Newton Falls.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Rufner and Mr. Burke? Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, now on to new business. This is a motion to invite the police chief to sit with council staff during council meetings and to provide the community with an update on the status of restoring the Newton Falls Police Department, continuing until such time that the council determines that this is no longer needed.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Rufner and Ms. Benitez?
Can I address this
Yeah,
real quick?
please.
I think it's important that we hear firsthand the direction things are going. And, you know, I'm seeing the different conversations like with the speed camera. I think it's our responsibility, I know it's our responsibility to look at each and everything that we have as a resource tool to get the police department off the ground and running. I'm not saying I'm for cameras, I'm against them, but I think that we need to make sure that we have educated ourselves, we've educated the public of what opportunities or what options are there so that we can make our final decision, whether it come up to a levy or income tax. We've done our due diligence, we have presented everything, and then we can move forward with what fits best for our village.
Thank you, Mr. Anybody else?
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Next comes ordinance 2025-27. It's an emergency ordinance amending the hourly rates for the police department.
Make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Rufner, Mr. Burke? Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Comes ordinance 2025-27. It's an emergency ordinance amending the hourly rates for the police department.
Make the motion?
Second.
Ms. Stimpert and Ms. Benitez. Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, here we have ordinance 2025-28.
We need to do a second reading on that, correct?
Emergency.
We did.
Yeah, I thought we did.
Yeah.
Did,
We did.
Mike, have we got the second reading on
Yep,
that?
we did it twice.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's all right.
My bad. I'm on the wrong one.
No, that's all right. Now we have ordinance 2025-28. It's an emergency ordinance authorizing certain amendments to the appropriations for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and authorizing the finance director to amend and file a certificate of resources with the county auditor.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Exiotis, Ms. Benitez.
Any discussion?
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, we'll have the second reading of ordinance 2025-28. It's an emergency ordinance authorizing certain amendments to the appropriations of the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and authorizing the finance director to amend and file a certificate of resources with the county auditor.
So, second?
Mr. Rufner, Mr. Burke? Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Now comes ordinance 2025-29. It's an emergency ordinance amending current allocation rates for the Huntington Public Capital Corporation lease for the AMI meters, establishing a new allocation schedule for debt repayments related to this debt issue.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Rufner, Mr. Burke?
Mayor, if I may?
Yes, please.
All right, a little background on this one. This is distributing how this debt service is being paid, how it is being broken up, and how it's levied against each one of the utilities individually. Previously, it was fairly unbalanced and was not equally shared amongst the utilities that were actually getting revenue or these AMI meters would generate revenue towards. So some were being excessively charged against, others were not being charged as much against. So through Jamie's looking at it and reassessment of it, we have broken it out, and she has basically brought it down to where everybody's receiving and paying their fair share on the debt service for these meters.
Thank you, Mr. Ruffer.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, we'll have our second reading of ordinance 2025-29, which is an emergency ordinance amending current allocation rates for the Huntington Public Capital Corporation lease for the AMI meters, establishing a new allocation schedule for debt repayment related to this debt issue.
Make the motion?
Second.
Mr. Rufner, Ms. Benitez? Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, we're going to move on to public comments here at the end of the meeting. 3 minutes or less.
Blue Lemon 609 Ridge Road. Thank you, Councilman Axiotis, for explaining that that was supposed to be renewed or not renewed in 2023. It's been 4 years. I didn't even remember that. In 2021, I did support it because, again, I like accountability. And if it didn't do what it was intended to do, by all means, yay for getting rid of it. I agree with Councilwoman Stippert when she said you have to look at all avenues. I asked that you look at the lawsuit. If you're going to do the research, please look at the lawsuit in Georgia against Blue Line Solutions, and it's the police department of Tallulah, the town of Tallulah. And part in there, there's part of the contract that I think would be very eye-opening for you. I actually took time to read that today, and I was like, whoa. Chief Barco, I mean, if I can address that I'm not against the police. I'm 1,000% for the police. If I said anything that offended you, I do apologize. But speed cameras are something that I can't consciously stand by, not with all the research I've done on them. We've been sued enough as a town. That's the point I'm trying to make. We have been hit hard. We have been beaten down with lawsuits. If other people sue because they feel like it's not a constitutional ticket, it's civil, it's not even criminal. Where do we get the money for that? How do we pay for that? Our town will be bankrupt. Do I think we need to find a way to fund the police department? Absolutely. I just don't think speed camera is the way. Thank you.
John Barrick, 660 North Cal. I don't know, ask the police chief, is the speed camera's gonna pay for this police department? How are we funding this department? And sir, I would like to tell you, I just talked to Lordstown. They're having trouble maintaining officers and they're paying $27.94 an hour. Now, you're gonna bring part-timers in here, and as soon as they find a better job, they're gonna go. And you know what we ran into before, John? We couldn't fill a shift if we had to because everybody was reporting off or this and that. So I'd like to see you get up and running. The other thing is, the equipment's in bad shape. You know it and I know it. You're driving the only new car, we sold the other new one. Now, what I really came up here to talk about tonight. This council is setting a precedent by not making Dunkin' Donut annex after he promised, and he bought 73 acres, he knew what he had to do, by not making him annex. The motels went out right now. They went out of and maybe Venture Plastics was one out. Are you people not? You're setting a precedent. Now, if anything comes from Kellogg, the big paper plant down here to develop on the thing, and there gets maybe 50 or 80 or 100 employees, they're gonna say, well, you didn't make Dunkin' Donut, and Dunkin' Donut acts, we have an ordinance that said that you will, and Mr. Hanson was involved in it with the plastic plant out there that they had to annex in. So I just want to put it on record, you are making a precedent to cost the school system, which need the money by not getting the taxes. Hey, we didn't run that line out there just for 30% over. We ran it out there so we could get income tax off it and help our schools and our people in the general fund. Now, one other thing, before my time runs out. The acting city manager sat in the negotiations with us about the moving the dam. Can I finish?
May I interrupt, sir?
Yes.
Am I misremembering the rules that the comments are supposed to be about agenda items?
No, it's on anything, sir.
That's the beginning.
This is public comments at this point, sir.
But it should be addressed
Can I have
to
my
the chair.
minute, half a minute back now that was. Well, the other thing I'd like to say is this. There was never any talk about tearing the dam down. Yes, it is in bad shape, but we were first going to get $717,000 to do a survey to move the dam up closer to the sewer plant. Mr. Novotny knew that, and then we might have had to take the line and move it closer to the Lake Milton. That was all to be. There was no discussion. To let $1,300,000 that we could have money in our hand, cost us nothing, go back. That's a travesty to make something more beautiful in this country. county. It's all been vindictive up here, and it's to tear everything down that was trying to go. Now, only thing I want to say is that you're setting a precedent, you'll have to live with it. Thank you. And there may be a taxpayer's lawsuit.
Anyone else? Please.
Jason Meyer, I live in Vienna. I'm the fiscal officer there, and we have speed cameras. I wasn't there when we got them. I didn't bankrupt the town, I just had to fix it. Our speed cameras go over fine. The lawsuit referenced earlier from Georgia, I believe, is because the police officers in that department didn't adequately check the speed cameras. Chief Barco or his designee would have to approve every camera ticket before it's issued, just as my chief does. So I think that's easily avoidable, especially with a guy like John in charge. That's all I have to say on that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I will move on into closing remarks. I'd like to say that since our police department was defunded a few years ago, I've never seen the traffic as bad as I have in the town. It's awful. And for 100 years, we had a police department. We had order. It wasn't a taxi cab police department. The speeding limits, they were enforced. There wasn't people riding bicycles on the sidewalk. And, in the past 2 weeks, I was walking across the street and I was almost hit by a motorcycle. So, you can't play baseball, you can't play football without rules. Nobody really wants to be fined or they want to do their own thing. But if you don't have rules, people are running around doing whatever they want. And if we don't get this police department back on track, somebody's going to get hurt. There's going to be a bad accident up here. Whether it's someone stepping out of their front door with, and I mean, there's been dirt bikes on the sidewalk. So you can't tell me in any way, shape, or form we're better off without a police department here. It just isn't holding up. It's not. This is bedlam. It's completely out of control. To defund this police department, it's a travesty, an absolute travesty. And furthermore, if you're going to go to the citizens and ask for a tax levy or ask them to dig into their pockets, that's tyranny. That's exactly what set the colonists off in Boston. This is what got them going. This is when England was trying to dig into their pockets deeper. And we've lost a lot here, folks. We've lost an awful lot. And we don't get this police department funded and up and running, something bad's going to happen. It's just around the corner. The sheriff it's a full 12, 15 minutes away, and if they're working Brookfield, they're a half an hour away. We've got to have the police here. We're pushed all the way out in the corner up against Mahoning County and Portage County. This is a peninsula. It's like an island here. This town needs a police department, and not just for the citizens here, but to back up Braceville if they've got something going on, or even going into Lordstown or Lake Milton. We need to circle the wagons here and get this thing back on track, because defunding the police department, this is the worst goddamn thing that's ever happened in this town. The worst. That's all I got to say. Counsel, Mr. Axiotis, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. I find it a little ironic that the guy that's up here today talking to us about all these issues is pretty much the guy who caused most of the issues. The police department was disbanded under his watch. The sheriffs were brought in. And I want to highlight the Blue Line discussion earlier. While we have the sheriffs and everyone says they're doing a great job, Blue Line, while the sheriffs were here, found 1,300 vehicles speeding in the school zone while the sheriffs were here. So if they're doing a great job, how can I excuse 1,300 vehicles flying through the school zone? Where are the sheriffs? That's all. I mean, that seems very concerning to me. If they're doing a great job, why is there 1,300 vehicles speeding in a 5-day period? His zoning question that he had brought forth, we had a full-time zoning inspector. They forced him out, cut his hours, made sure he wasn't around. Now, his answer that he said was to get more part-timers to do that work. The reality is, we can't find part-timers to do that work. Then also, while he was councilman, they fired many people, brought in subs to do the work, and it cost almost $1 million for those decisions that the city now doesn't have any longer. $1 million. And you're going to stand up here and tell us what we're doing wrong? Sir, I know you're running for a seat. Maybe think twice about it, because you did enough damage. Thank you.
Ms. Pat, you have
My
anything?
turn next?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, I agree with whatever Mr. Axiotis said. I'm not, yes, laugh all you want, because I watched you. I had to call the deputies on you because of the way you acted.
Mayor, point of order, council should not be attacking
Okay, I'm
members of the
sorry.
audience.
Okay. I would just like to ask the people to be open-minded. You know, we're going around saying the sheriff's doing a great job, the sheriff's doing a great job. I talked to a couple of the deputies. They said they don't even want to go to Newton Falls. They said, I hope they don't call me again, because I'm going to say I have something else to do. Now, this was a deputy. Now, you can decide whatever. Okay, I don't really care. All right. I think we should give Chief Barco an opportunity to turn the police, to bring the police back. You know, we're complaining about the money, the money, the money. I know the finance director and Chief Barco, they've been working diligently to be able to afford a working police department. There are people that maybe they're part-time, that doesn't mean they're stupid. There's people here that are part-time that are willing to come back and work. I'm just asking, you know, who's going to say that the sheriff's department's not going to raise their rates? Jamie, how much did the sheriff's department raise the rate for this year?
Over $100,000.
Pardon?
Slightly over $100,000.
Over $100,000. Who's to say that next year they're not going to raise it again? Now, the chief and Jamie are working diligently to save money, to have a working police department, and also I'm for the city police because they know the town. They know the kids. The kids might not want to go to talk to somebody else, but if they make a friend with one of the police department, they're going to feel much more at ease talking to them, saying, so-and-so is bullying me, or so-and-so, you know, they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Can you do something about it? If I call Chief Barco and ask him something, he's going to answer me right away. He's not going to say, well, let's see, what should we do? Now, where exactly in town is this happening? He knows. So please, keep an open-minded, be open-minded. Give Chief Barco the chance to bring the police department back, and I know he will do a fine job. I'm done. Thank you.
Ms. Julie, do you have anything?
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Burke?
Yeah, through the chair, I'd like to say, hope everybody has a wonderful holiday weekend. Stay safe. The parade is downtown, I think on Monday, right?
Yes.
So, come out to the parade and, come early so you can be able to see all the amenities. But have a safe weekend.
Thank you. Mr. Rupert?
Yeah, real quick. Just to put it in perspective and to clarify anything for anybody out there that might have a misconception. It said that speed cameras are immoral, unethical. Well, isn't it immoral or unethical of us sitting at this table to not consider every possible option to help enforce and ultimately protect the safety of our community? 1,300 people in a week. through a school zone. Okay, yeah, schools being let out. I know that's the big thing they're gonna come up with. 84 of them were in excess of 20 miles an hour, above the posted speed limit in a school zone. How long before an accident happens? Whether it be someone crossing the street, a car pulling out, inexperienced drivers, you have to consider all that. Now, I've also heard that, well, cameras are no replacement for officers. You're absolutely right. However, I got an officer sitting out by the school running radar. What's going on in the rest of town? Why have an officer stationed out there when you can put a camera to monitor it and enforce it and cause people to slow down where you could properly and effectively utilize your officers elsewhere for other more important matters or more high-profile matters? It's also been said it's a cash grab. Absolutely. But from who? Oh, wait, that's the people that are going 11 miles an hour over the speed limit. Good. If they can go 11 miles an hour over the speed limit, they can afford to give up some cash, as far as I'm concerned. I got a vehicle goes past my house every night. I guarantee he's doing 50 to 60 in a 25. Guarantee it. Call the sheriff. Well, where is he? Who is it? Do you know it? No. Got an idea, but I can't prove it's him. Well, sorry, nothing we can do. You know, it's also been said, and we heard it tonight, well, keeping the sheriff on provides us all these extra services. Bomb squad, dive team, special investigative unit, all that. You do realize we get that automatically, right? Since we are in Trumbull County Sheriff is obligated to provide us with those services. So we don't have to be under contract with the sheriff to get those services. We get them anyways. It's a scare tactic. It was used when they got rid of the police department. It's trying to be used again. Understand, we get those services anyways. So, as they've said, and I support it 100%, and I support Chief Barco 100%. Give the man a chance. He's got a plan. He's worked it with Jamie. The numbers add up. The numbers match. We can do it better, or at least as well as the sheriff's department, and we can do it for the same money, if not cheaper. So, okay, point the finger at me and say, my bad. I'm going to go with better and cheaper, because ultimately, if it costs more, where does that come from? It comes from the community. Who in the community pays? The residents. It's always great to say, add more bodies, add more people, add more contracts. Who's going to pay? It's our responsibility up here to manage and maintain our expenses so we don't go into deficit. And honestly, I think we've been doing a heck of a job. So that's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Rickman. Mr. Lemmy, do you have anything tonight,
No,
sir?
sir, thank you.
Thank you. Miss Jamie, do you have anything for us?
Just a couple of points to give a little bit more support to this. You know, we do have sheriff's deputies that are sitting out on the roadways. I have seen them in the school zones, and I would anticipate if there are 1,300 people speeding through a school zone that I would see revenue in my office from the tickets that they are issuing. I've seen no money come into the finance director's office from tickets issued in the school zone. So I'm not certain, but I can be fairly certain that they're not issuing tickets in that school zone, and they should be. It is a public safety issue, and they are under contract to provide public safety services. So in addition to that, you know, as far as traffic cameras, like everyone else, I can't say I'm for or against, but I can say you don't get a ticket if you don't speed, so you pay nothing. Whereas if you go for other additional revenue sources, property taxes, income taxes, you pay equally, regardless of breaking the law or not. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Jamie.
Mayor, may I be heard about that? I should
Please,
have said
Mr.
something
Lynn.
when you asked me the first time.
Yes,
I've been a prosecutor here for in excess of a year, and we deal with a lot of speeding tickets on the turnpike and out in outlying areas. I don't know that I can think of, I'll be generous and say more than 4.
My son was one of them.
Okay.
Way to throw him under the bus.
But most of the speeding tickets are not in school zones where we have a very serious safety concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. All right, do we need a motion to recess into executive session tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to make a motion to recess into executive session for the purpose of this personnel discussions, which may or may not result in a decision upon our return.
I'll second that.
Mr. Rufner, Mr. Axiotis, Ms. Benitez,
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis.
Yes.
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Ms. Stimper.
Yes.
Pass 5-0, 7:36.
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah.
Exit executive session?
I'll- oh,
Mr. Rufner and Ms. Stemper?
Actually, Burke did it.
Mr. Burke. It's all right. Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stemper?
Yes.
Pass 5-0, 816.
I'd like to make a motion to name Jamie Vernacini as interim city manager to replace Mike Novotny, effective on 6/4 of '25.
I'll second it.
That's, Mr. Axiotis and Ms. Benitez.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Yeah, just, Mike has said he's basically retiring beginning of June. We do have a candidate for the new city manager, but I believe the start time is going to be about the middle of July. So we have a little gap in period of time where we need somebody to act as city manager and keep the city, running for a couple of weeks. So this is kind of why I put this motion forward.
Anything else?
That was Mr. Axiotis. I'm sorry, who made the motion?
I did.
And the second was Ms. Benitez, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll second it if nobody else will.
Okay, thank you.
Second time.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Burke, Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
And Ms. Stemper?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
I'd like to make a second motion, and that motion's for the city to form a city manager transition team. It would be comprised of Mike Novotny, Jamie Vernacini, and Kevin Rufner, for them to come up with some formal transition plan, and then have them present that plan to council at our next regularly scheduled meeting on 6/4 of 2025.
I'll second it.
So we got Mr. Axiotis and Mr. Rufner. Any further discussion? Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stemper?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion to adjourn.
Second. Ms. Stemper and Mr. Burke? Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stemper?
Yes.
Pass 818.
Jamie, remember I asked you if you wanted to do it? Remember what I asked you? Right?
Oh, my.